Welcome, religious scholars, pagans, people, Pharisees, ancient Kemites, Jews, Christians, Muslims, all welcome to the mediator. Politicians, Democrats, Republicans, come on in and listen to the vibrations of the mediator, coming to give you what you need this Resurrection Sunday, giving you your daily dose, weekly dose of vitamin news, being informed, understanding how all of the laws of this great universe come together in one program to keep you informed, bring you back down to earth so you don't get caught off guard. You are in tune, live as usual every Sunday into the mediator. I thank you for your presence. You are welcome to listen at any time, day, hour. I upload the show during the week. If you missed today, all you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com, and you can catch the show and catch the stories that almost made it into the top 8. This is the top 8 headlines, developing news stories that I give you every week, doing my studies, my research, navigating the universe, navigating all forms of information to make sure that nothing is left, no stone is left unturned. And folks, we are in Resurrection Sunday, and we just witnessed, as usual, things happening with death. So it is, if you get anything out of today's show, it will be to bring you back down so you will not be confused, so that you will be grounded, informed, and understand the difference between laws, the difference between the truths and well-studied men of even ancient Kemet law, even ancient Egyptian law, even ancient Jerusalem law, Hebrew law, all different texts, the secrets was in the temple of the mind. With you yourself, you have a soul to be resurrected. You have a soul to be. That's why I say death is not the end. So when you see death on this planet, so you will have no fear. It is my duty, my supreme duty every week as a mediator to bring you down to a reality. Even myself, I've seen the miracles, and there was once upon a time, me myself, I was in a room all by myself, told that my days were numbered. But I'm telling you, because of something happening, some form of belief, some form of understanding, I'm powered up and I'm ready for a fight, folks. So anybody who does not understand, if you get anything out of today's show, it will be to kill the confusion, to get you to understand that there is something happening, something greater, something much powerful than you ever could imagine happening within your own soul and spirit. It's divine. It's more than holy. It's resurrection, folks. And that's what I'm here to bring you today. I have 8 top stories as usual in the mediator. I come in on this special day to give you 8 headlines, developing news stories that made it throughout the week. Let me read the disclaimer of the show. These top 8 stories are only documented for records and to highlight topics for those in the business of talk radio, talk media, and those who just want to stay informed. One thing I like is a dirty fight, folks. And when you're down and dirty and you feel like everything is done, somebody rises up and gives you hope to start to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this. I believe in it. That's what I'm telling you. If you get anything out of today's show, if you get anything out of the radio host that's wheeling and dealing, spilling all types of verses all over the place, words of excellence, you're going to get it at mediation today. Woo! Let me get to story number 1. You are in the mediator. Top 8 stories. Whew! I'm getting started off already. But I got to pace myself. I got to get through the top 8. Story number 1. What makes the headline? What makes the U.S. and the U.S. military so special? Just looking at the world and around you, it's not just something about what's happening that should give you a feeling of inspiration. But I caught some stories about some veterans who were down and out, and they try to run a race, folks. And they're running it for their comrades. They're running this way. Some headlines that made it in there. This guy falls down. He gets back up. I'm telling you, reading these stories about what makes the heart of a man so unique. I came into the studio today, and it's just something about the heart and the spirit of not even just all men who just live their lives searching for the truth, searching for some type of insight. And they go to the grave. That's what makes today's show so special. It makes these stories, especially story number one, how it crept into the top 8, because I've seen everybody has the answers. Everybody has theories and theologies, and some people find the truth. Some people can't accept it, but the truth is there. It's evident. You can look inside the soul, but I'm looking at these stories about what makes the U.S. military, U.S. servicemen so great. They were running a race, a marathon, and he fell for his comrade. He's at the finish line. Then I'm seeing Bob Dole salute crazy President Bush on his way to the kingdom. Then I'm watching John McCain go to the grave. I'm seeing all these servicemen who have served and honored and did it to the honor of the protection of the Constitution, and it's amazing. I have to be pumped up today's show, because this energy, these vibrations will bring you in tune to the reality of the situation that we're facing every day. There's death all around us, folks, but we have to get up. We have to tap into our deeper soul and find something to do in America, because there's a force trying to get you to sit around and collect a government paycheck without working for it. I came into the studio today, folks, and I looked one of the board ops in the eye, and I tried to give him $5, and he looked at me. He said, "Brian, you take that money because it's hard. It's hard to find. There's a grimy substance in the air, and it's trying to make you think that the riches and glories of the earth are going to satisfy you." Folks, no, it's what's in the heart. And I'm telling you right now, that is what makes America amazing. I'm telling we have the freedom to go around and study and do things that we couldn't do. We have the freedom to be dumb and lazy and get smarter and read and get knowledge and be redeemed, folks. Woo! There's something happening in the mediation today. Double amputee, along with story number 1, an Army veteran runs for his 4th Boston Marathon. You cannot tell me that there's not greatness in the soul, the spirit of man. Oh God, the noise, the vibrations. If I'm not electrifying you, if I'm not getting you up, that's what today's show is all about. They say that they've been talking about these women in war and how they're using women to terrorize and blow things up and kill innocent people who just go in to worship the God that they serve, the God that they've been taught. They can't help themselves. Everybody wants to feel good. And if they want to go to the house of worship, there's nothing wrong with it. But people are going into churches and synagogues and blowing the place up. But if I do anything before I go off to the kingdom myself, I'm going to tell you right now that there's something greater happening inside you, folks. And if you don't believe me, look at all the veterans. Some of them who have been committing suicide. Some of them get inspired with no arms and no legs to continue on, folks. There's something special happening in the world. There's something special happening. And I'm telling you, it's happening all over us. It's happening in everywhere you go. You have to understand the power within yourself. The confusion will kill you. That's what I got out to the top stories today. I had to get in here to remind you that all of us go through some things. We see death. We see destruction all around us. But we have to understand the power of every story. The understanding that even ourselves can have the power to rise above all of it. There's other stories that made it in. Veterans are trying to get this. They're trying to legalize weed. Don't ask me why people are constantly trying to turn to the trees for the answer. Folks, the answer is much more. There's a God, folks. If you don't believe me, listen, I'm telling you, and today, if you get anything out of today's show, you will have to understand that reading and knowledge is one of the most amazing abilities that we as human beings possess. If you look through, just look at what all man has been made by the inspiration of his just by his mind. Some people turn to crack, weed, and they even have veterans saying that this weed is calming them down. Folks, there have been people who have turned to just the simplicity of God, the simplicity of understanding the power inside of you yourself. It's an unbelievable secret weapon that we all have as human beings, understanding that in this life, this is just a vessel that we have, that we have from the great creator of the universe. Creator is And that's the most amazing thing that I've been understanding through every story I got through this week, even with the story of the Boston, the churches, the Boston Marathon bombings, is that people who fall down, they don't commit suicide. They have one leg, they have one arm, and they're finding a reason. They're finding a reason to give everybody else around them, every other human being, something to live on to, something to lash on to. And that's what makes not only just this country, not only just this military, but the inspiring people all around the world to see somebody who have been knocked down just get up. It's unbelievable. Even the intellects who have studied themselves to death and think they have all the answers. Some of them haven't even figured it out yet. It's real simple math, folks. It's inside of you. It's what you can do as a human being. Let me explain something. Serving in this country, serving in the military, I've seen a lot of things happening around me. Couldn't explain how these people would get up every day on a ship, the ocean, sailing. If you've ever been on the ocean, it's a tough gig, tough job, out in the middle of nowhere, serving from sea to shining sea every day for the cause, greater cause of the Constitution. There are people still on the battlefield. And that's what's amazing about what's happening right now, is that through all of this, through everything, people are still on the battlefield. And what are they on the battlefield for? For the greater good of the common man. And it still exists, folks. There was another story that crept in the top headlines. They were talking about hidden cameras found in a woman's bathroom aboard a Navy ship. Women are getting caught in a lot of crosshairs, and if you've studied religious law, if you study just the moral principles of mankind, you will know that women are very, very powerful creatures. They have the power to carry human life in the womb, and they are being used as secret weapons for terrorists. They're not only being used, but some children are being used as suicide bombers. Folks, this is the essence of what you call filth. It's a semblance of something that cannot bring things together. No understanding. There's a truth going on. There are battles going on, waging in the laws. These laws. There's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of heathenistic things going on. Things that are happening at the bottom, not even just at the top of society, but at the bottom. But death is a very scary thing. And if you don't believe me, try see what happens when you are threatened, when your body and your life is on the line. The most amazing thing about human beings is that we often forget, and we often think that we ourselves cannot become a victim. And that's what's scary about humankind, is how ignorant we ourselves can become. And folks, I'm telling you, there's some things happening inside of society. 3 veterans die of suicide over 5 days at VA facilities in 2 states. You have to understand, the doctor is telling you, not through code, but he's telling you to take care of yourself. When you've been in combat, I've been in situations, especially on a ship, it's not easy, where I've had to submit. I know, and the human mind can be stubborn. I have to go visit a doctor. If you're a veteran out there, if you know veterans, and you feel like they may need some help, just try, as a veteran, as a man to a man. It's more easy to go and tell your problems and to talk to somebody before you do anything drastic, or take the law into your own hands. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of miracles happening in the world today. A lot of things happening that are giving people who have that instinct of inspiration, that hero instinct, to get up again in the morning. On this Resurrection Sunday, like I said, if you want to contribute to me, the mediator, be a part of it, all you have to do is visit the website at www.method8inc.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you just sponsor a program. You're in the media with me, Brian Westward. It is my supreme duty every Sunday to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it throughout the week. Getting off to a fast start. I feel the power. I can feel it. I can feel it, the energy. I'm taking my well, I'm not taking vitamins, but I'm drinking my water, getting my vitamin C in me, understand and read. I'm staying pumped up, getting my jogging in. I feel like 100% my time and my accuracy. I'm hitting the mic at full impedance. I'm burning wires. I'm getting excited. My vocal vibrations are getting in tune with the universe. I'm becoming one with nature, folks. I can feel it, and I'm giving you that same vibe, that same energy. So if you want to help out, all you have to do is visit the website, www.method8inc.com. The spirit of man, as long as I'm living, I will try to inspire the man, inspire the brothers, inspire them to give them some type of fire when they wake up in the morning. Woo! If I can't do it, if I cannot do it, I'm sure there's somebody who will come years later and tell you that boy wrote a book. You better read it because it's still here to get you pumped up to believe in something greater. And mediation. So if you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is visit the website, www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. You can also check out the stories that almost made it into the top 8, or you can just check out the stories that did make it to top 8. A lot of research on there. I go through tons of information every week, over 200 stories, probably over 50 stories every almost a day. So I have to stay informed, and I'm telling you, I've just looking at how many people are trying to dissect the truth, figure it out, inform people, get people enlightened. Some of these people just do some amazing. They get on YouTube, they have conversations about old theology and how but it just shows you how powerful the mind is and how much a man can just will dedicate his life to try to enlighten the next generation. But it's a lot of research out there, a lot of books, and we'll be, if you want to check us out, also we'll be at the Jewish Community Center playing ball on the 4th. There's also some other things going on in the community that I'll probably be mentioning in the next few shows. So if you want to contribute or be a part of the meeting, anyway, all you have to do is visit the website, buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you just stop by 5648 Market Street, and I'm usually there from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday. Let's get to story number 2: NASA and the future of space exploration. They say a massive asteroid came really close to the Earth, but they were talking about in some of these stories I was checking out about just the beliefs of back in the day about how the rings of Saturn, how they perfectly float or just orbit around the planets. And you look at the universe and you see how much just NASA has tried to do. And you look at some of these explorations, even with China, they're exploring asteroids and comets in upcoming missions. China sending teams to simulate Mars colonies. You have to ask yourself, is it really? Then you look at, like I said, when you look at how many civilizations have actually studied the laws of the universe, and you ask yourselves, what are they, are they trying to find things that are already there? That I'm telling you, the answers are here. All we have to do is look around us. There's some things I'm going to bring to light, especially when we have our Earth Day being tomorrow, is that people are doing things to the atmosphere, and they're doing things to the water. When you talk about plastics and how much is happening within our own society, and people just trying to find the answers. All of these answers have been already here. And when I talk about truth, and you talk about some of these guys who feel like they're the first to discover electricity, no, this stuff has been here. You look at some of the old texts even with the Teslas, not Tesla the car, but the actual coils, when they talk about the laws of electricity. Some of and it's all mainly you look at a lot of what happened in is Kemet. I mean, you look at ancient Kemet laws, and you look at Egypt, and you look at it. There, all you have to do is do your research. I mean, like I said, if you have nothing to do as a human being, and you feel like you want to find something to do, the books are in the libraries. The answers are. All you have to do is do your research. If you have questions about religion, about life, there's no need to commit suicide. These resources are given freely in this country. That's what makes it a special country. Millions of people have been saved by books. You look at Carnegie, the guy. Start most of his journey was started by reading and learning. And that's why I'm telling you that if I give you any type of lesson in the mediator, if you can resurrect, be redeemed, redeem yourself with knowledge. We have a brain, use it. They're even talking about the Big Bang theory and how they're detecting some of the earliest particles in space. They're also talking about meteors from other solar systems coming and having hit Earth. Folks, this knowledge has been here. You got to think this Earth. Even when you look at how they used to say that asteroids is what killed the dinosaurs. This atmosphere is amazing. The nature in itself. There's no mercy in nature. You don't see tornadoes sparing people. It's just a part of life. But the greatest thing about human beings is that we can show mercy to our own kind. And we can show that we ourselves can be merciful. And that's what makes us, if you take it to the Bible, you look at when it talks about Abraham and how he was going to sacrifice his son, and then he didn't do it because he showed mercy, and that made him special. Some people on this planet don't show a lot of mercy, or they may have been scarred in the past. These laws are starting to take full effect as we see life happening around us. But as me, the mediator, like I told you, I have to keep you informed. I have to grab you before you do anything drastic. The laws of nature will bring things back down to earth, back to reality. So as you see death happening, you may be saddened by that life that is gone, but you have to find it. I have to practice these things in my day-to-day life. My life is not perfect. I've lost cousins, family members, people dear to me, but I know we will meet again. I know it because we all are connected in some way. There's also some things going on with NASA that they sent mice into space, and they may also be building inflatable robots and astronauts. Fingernail-sized spacecraft are soon going to scour the solar system for aliens. We have to ask ourselves, are these things important? What I'm telling you is the point is that don't be confused with too much knowledge. Too much knowledge is good in some sense, but you cannot forget that you yourself are a part of something. And that's what makes today's show very special, is that if you think, they talk about the children, they're talking about how they're not learning anything. Some of them they can't. They're talking about bringing God back into people's lives. That is a main ingredient to being a child. I'm a living witness. If I did not have God in my life in the military, if I didn't believe in something, I would have went under, because it was a very sad state, scary state. So as a giving you my own testimony on this Resurrection Sunday, I'm telling you, if you're a teacher out there, if you're some type of psychologist, if you're a doctor, and you're seeing these signs happening where people are turning to a darker, or just they don't want to be here. You have to inspire the human mind with something. It's inside of you, folks. I can guarantee that. If you want to contribute, you're in the meeting to me, Brian West. We're almost at the halfway point. All you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Or, like I said, you could just check out the news, check out what's happening. Sometimes I post things that are happening in the community. Always the top stories, top 8 headlines, stories that, I'm reading and watching videos every week to try to keep you informed and build an audience so this audience can be informed and ready to go thinkers to when you see wars raging and you see violence all around you and buildings being exploded, thinkers that can rebuild those buildings, that can rebuild those power lines, that can get people back in tune, that we can all touch bases at one point, navigating ways to make everybody's lives better, so they themselves, when our time is up, they too can become common thinkers and common believers in something greater. Story number 3. There is a healthcare debate brewing up for the next election. If you do not believe me, when you hear politicians talking about free, draining the life out of common sense thinkers, there is some intellect, folks. There is some intellect that cannot be fathomed by the common sense thinker. And everybody knows that everything comes at a cost. Everything. I came into the studio today. And it takes a wise man to understand that money is hard to find. Money is hard to come across. People grow up in poverty all the time. They are suffering, and the thing is that health, good health, comes at a price. To be able to feed your body with the proper nutrients is a very, very, very instinctive thing, and it has to be practiced. And you look at doctors who have gone to the great grave trying to save people's lives. The main thing they hate is ignorance and stupidity. You look at even they were talking about doctors over treating patients in the United States. So that mainly talking about like when you're fine and you go in there and you get diagnosed with something that can be healed, but you're just constantly thinking something is wrong with you. Folks, we have to practice good health. It's very, very important. They say that over 1 million Americans have become uninsured since 2016. I've been reading a book about the Bush administration, the last Bush, the junior Bush, and it was talking about healthcare, and the goal of government was to try to make sure that everybody was insured. And what they've come to understand is that some Americans, there's just a lot of mistrust and government. There's a lot of mistrust, and there's a lot of people in poverty, still in poverty. There's a lot of people who just cannot make ends meet. The thing is, the interesting thing about this country that we live in right now is that there's a lot of hostility because of the past. And some people can't, even people outside of America can't figure out why you have such a wealthy nation and you still have people living in poverty. And the thing is you're giving aid to all nations around you, and you still have people who can't just keep them. So there's a lot of confusion. But the most amazing thing about what's happening in this chemistry set is that people are understanding that they have to empower themselves. They're understanding that if the government isn't going to do it for me, then I'm going to have to do it myself. You look at they're talking about high deductible policies that could be linked to delayed diagnosis and treatments, and just I think some of the answers to our questions, our medical or healthcare crisis, could just be the doctors themselves. You know, if maybe some of these politicians could just put down their egos for a few days and just talk to the people who are in the field, figure out what's happening ground level. A lot of doctors are getting imprisoned for, there was like, I think nearly 60 doctors and other medical workers charged, and I think they were in a federal opioid sting. So doctors are getting caught up in this drug problem. And if talking about religion period, and you look at some of the herbs and some of the things that grow out of the earth, and people are starting to find out that some things that are coming that are grown from the sun's rays. This is like very deep knowledge, folks. Some plants, if you believe in scripture, if you read it, it's telling you right there, some plants were not meant for us to eat off of. And I've mentioned this constantly in the past, and some people continuously try to enlighten their mind. They try to get a high, and that's why if you don't believe in something, some type of power that we possess as human beings, if you look at somebody, if you look at what happened to Jim Jones when he started using drugs. Jim Jones was a pastor years ago, took his congregation, and he made him drink some poisonous Kool-Aid. So you have to really dissect these stories, and you look at everybody who has been high off something, who has stopped doing something out of moderation. They have done some unbelievable things, and to themselves, to the people around them, their families, death. And that's what I'm telling you. Like you look at how some of these people become radicalized. If you train the human mind to believe that you are the best at everything you do, and that nobody else is better than you, and that everything that you do If you're a supreme being God, you can look at Hitler and you look at his regime and how he started to actually believe that he was God. You talk to psychologists and they tell you about how some people get so deep into something that they start doing some unbelievable things. They become so certain in themselves that they become confused to the reality around them, and they become their own universe where everything is revolving around them and nothing can exist without them. This is some serious psycho stuff that's happening. So that's what I'm telling you. And you look at how it's affecting the health of the average Americans. It's a real thing. That's why I tell you, you got to look at these healthcare laws. You got to look at these healthcare bills, and you have to see within yourself what you can do yourself to try to stay healthy, to try to keep away from too much confusion, and just feeding yourself the right things, feed yourself the right foods. A lot of people are eating a lot of sugar, a lot of artificial foods that are not good for them, and it's messing them up, messing their thinking patterns up, and they're doing some crazy stuff. I mean, if you had to look through over 200 stories a week, probably 50 or 200 to more, and you start to see patterns in people's behaviors, and you start to see why the healthcare crisis in America is so messed up. It's because people aren't taking care of themselves. I mean, you people are just doing some crazy things. Look at the measles cases that are quadrupling. They have 555 cases confirmed in 20 states. Measles is supposed to be eradicated. It was supposed to be contained. Look at it, how it's emerging. It's because people aren't practicing cleanliness, healthiness, they're doing just crazy things, not understanding that if you understand the infinity of one particular molecule, you'll understand that there's hundreds more molecules inside that one molecule. In one universe, one star, there's tons of stars around it. You yourself, if you want to stay clean, you have to keep that molecule clean and the substances so you can create cleaner molecules. It's the substance of life, folks. I have to enlighten you. Yes. Studies are also questioning the effects of artificial intelligence in the medical field. They're talking about how what's happening in the social media realm, how there's all this data being collected by computers. They're using it for something. Like I said, this is deep stuff in the medical field. That was story number 3 and headline number 3. There's a debate brewing up about the healthcare system, and there's some people touting free healthcare when, folks, in reality, it costs a lot to feed yourself. You have to go to the gym. You have to study, stay well studied. Don't be ignorant when it comes to your own body. Try to take care of your vessel. Understand what your body can do, how much your body can take, and stay out of the healthcare loop. Even if you understand, what you should be able to do is go to your insurance provider. Say, I have this problem. I've had this problem with my body forever. I have a bad immune system or a bad respiratory system. I need a medical coverage that can accommodate me, that I'm confident with paying for. If it's going to give me a discount on my medications. That's how the healthcare system should be. You should not have these politicians telling you yourself what to do with your body. Women are having this constant problem with life. They don't want to bring life into the world because they don't feel like they're comfortable with their surroundings. So what's happening is they're having to result in abortions. I can guarantee you, if you change the medical system around where people understood it and they had an understanding of their own options and their own lifestyle plan, it probably would be much better. But as long as these guys who are having 10 million in their bank account, 20, 30 million, they're trying to protect their ends. They don't understand what that life is like. If you want to contribute, you're in the media with me, Brian West, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Life is good. I'm doing the best I can. So if you want to help me out, all you have to do is visit www.method, the number 8, INC.com, Method.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. I am in the studio on this Resurrection Sunday, hoping that I'm giving you the knowledge, the insight that you need to be informed, well prepared for the next day, the next week, getting up on the next morning inspired, feeling like there's something constructive to do, something. Motivation is the key. Motivation is the word I'm looking for. Resurrection, being resurrected within your own self. You may have been down and out, but getting up and proving that you yourself can take the laws of the universe in your own hands and make something great out of it. Let's get to story number 4. How safe are schools? Headlines number 4. Made it in top 8. How safe are schools? There was some things that happened in Colorado years ago where we had tragic deaths, but and then they were talking about how this woman, she was infatuated with the Columbine killings, and she made a trip to Colorado. The schools were on lockdown, and she later killed herself. There's something happening in some people's brain chemistry, folks, and it's just not healthy. But people are trying to prevent these things as much as possible. When you talk about mental health, and you talk about how some people just are infatuated with death, infatuated with tragedy. I'm not saying that everybody on this planet has the brain capacity to understand human law. Some of us still have instincts. I hate comparing human beings to another part of the food chain, but some of us have instincts. I mean, you look at some people who can sleep during the day, be awake during the night. We all are built differently, and I mean, whatever we when you look at the evolutionary cycle and you look at how we evolve into a higher species in ourselves with knowledge, and some of us just start to lose touch with the people around us. Like I said, this is a very common thing that happens in a lot of people's lives, where they can lose touch with reality and become obsessed with things that mean them harm. They may be missing a few things. I mean, you don't know what could happen even yourselves when you're not getting proper nutrients, feeding yourself with the proper information. Some people just lose it, and some people become infatuated with things that they start to believe that they're a part of. You can look at these supremacy stories and how some people go on these mass killing sprees. Folks, it's a real deal that there's just some health issues that are out there that you yourself have to cure. I have to feed myself with inspirational things. I have to feed this body to stay on the same path. There's another story. 2 14-year-old girls drew up plans to kill 9 people. And you look at, the thing is that when you cut off another life, another gene, another genetic path to better mankind, you're not only depriving the earth, but you're depriving your own species, your own people of greater knowledge. When you talk about these people who are dying, when you look at like 200 people, 9 people, these people have knowledge. They're an asset to their community, an asset to the people around you. So you cannot tell me that people who want to harm others, that they're lacking something in the, it's just not normal for if people want to do harm to other people, there are arenas for that. When you engage in war, when you declare war on people, there are arenas for that. There's laws that are supposed to be followed, even in rules of engagement. People who take these matters into their own hands. You look at some of the shootings, how some people are just getting the death penalty just for talking back to police. Folks, these are things that are happening in nature that are setting things off course. And as a mediator, staying in the middle, trying to understand this, I have to get everybody back on a level playing field. Peace is the ultimate prize within the mind, within the self, within everybody, to try to understand that if you cannot be productive in a society and try to understand just the levels of greatness. I mean, greatness breeds greatness. Greatness is more greatness. Greatness is training, technique, understanding, studying, well studied, listening. Those are virtues, folks, that we all should try to follow. And there's a lot of hostile people out there who are taking the understanding of greatness, and they're defying it into a path that could deter the possibilities that man could live a much long-lived life. When you kill somebody, that's pain, that's vengeance. It causes strife, it causes chaos, it causes corruption. And we all see now, even in our own lives as Americans, what corruption is leading to, and what it can do to the common laws of just in society, and what the destruction that it can cause in the same people's lives. I hope you got all that in one message, but it makes sense. Resurrection, redemption, how it can be just stopped by just ignorance and just craziness. So if you want to contribute anyway, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West, where it is my supreme duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it in. We're seeing things happening around us and we're confused, but I'm telling you, there's certainty if you are well studied, if you take the time to read, there's words all around you. Hieroglyphics in the form of black and white ink on paper, pictures, illustrations all around you, books, and everywhere you go, people with supreme knowledge coming down to your level and wanting to teach. It's amazing thing about it's a special thing about mankind that we all can take part of and we all can endorse to further our species as human beings on this planet. Knowledge can do amazing things, folks. And I'm telling you, if you let it in, if you decide to better yourselves, and you could move mountains, and I'm taking you to the mountaintop. So if you want to contribute or be a part of the media in any way, all you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where it is my supreme duty to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories every week, keeping you informed, keeping you in tune, giving you a hug with the news, giving you a hug with my positive vibrations, the sounds of I'm no intimate threat to society, folks. I'm not on the terrorist watch list. I'm on the incitement list, the informative list, because I'm giving you knowledge that you can use to better yourselves. Let's get to story number 5. Study shows that teens are not optimistic about their financial future. They're talking about money. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to steer you in the wrong direction. But I can say that money is a powerful tool. And knowledge with money is even greater, but understanding the value of everything around you is even greater. They're talking about how Pier 1 Imports is closing up to 145 more stores. Folks, there's been a lot of stores closing and a lot of things happening economically that are discouraging the next generation. But I'm here to give you a little bit of information, young generation. A generation that can, if you understand... I often talk about just ancient stories, ancient books. They talk about younger generations, and they talk about how, in some position, children had to take the realms of kings to protect their nations, to protect their lands. And this next generation, if they are losing the motivation to want to learn, that's the only thing that can hinder a village. It's the only thing that can hinder a society. And folks, I'm telling you, I'm putting up a fight. I'm showing the next generation that it can be done. There was once upon a time, me myself, I was a teen, and I had no power greater than just a marshmallow and a chocolate chip cookie. But I started to understand and dissect that chocolate chip cookie, and I started to read and get inspired, and it woke me up to an understanding that me as a human being could understand the medicine, could understand the laws, and I myself could become a doctor in my own fashion, in my own form, indoctrinated with my own thought. If finances are concerned, folks, start understanding money, understanding the financial system. That's how powerful one human being can be. If you don't understand music, if you have gifts as a teen, understand music. Go to New York. There's people on every corner playing music, getting donations. But you have to understand the power of a human being. Hopefully that people have the same character that I have or possess. I try to be generous, but they're just some evil and corruption, not understanding God, and that's why they have to have these rules in place. And if I do anything this Resurrection Sunday, I hope I inspire you to understand that the spirit and the soul have to be fed good things, folks, good things. And that's why you see all of this decay happening around you. People are losing hope. They're losing a vision. They're getting in financial problems because people are not spending money in the right places. They're spending money on wasteful things. Make a good investment, folks. Make a good investment in the future, the children. Look at how, what amazes me about the United States in general is how much faith that the past generation had in the future. They put money up. They made system and laws in hopes that this generation will remain intelligent and make wise decisions. When you see people making unwise decisions, folks, it's just not good for good for Homeland Security. It's not good for the next generation. I'm giving you information today to try to get you to understand how this thing works so we can better ourselves and try to live amongst each other. Death in the news is not good when you see 200 souls lost, but the power and the belief in God shows you that they will be resurrected. If you want to contribute in any way, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West, where I'm still pumped up. I'm still feeling it. I still feel great. I'm giving you 8 stories, folks, and we're almost at the top story. We're at story number 6. If you want to contribute in any way, all you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com, methodinc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Folks, story number 6, there is something strange going on in the family and relationship category. A rapper was arrested for battery, and I guess he was accused by his son's mother of beating her in front of the child. Folks, there's some serious stuff. In India, if you did not know, that if you scam a woman or make false promises of marriage, and you don't marry this girl, that's considered rape. Women, ladies, they're men as well. There are some scam artists out there who will try to take you morally, take your soul, take your finances, and destroy you as a human being. This is a lack of character, folks, and it is a sign that evil does exist on this planet. Many men have been affected. Me, myself, I've been affected. People who take your goodwill and destroy it with just all this chaos and corruption. Some men are choosing to be married and have multiple women on the side. Their women are starting to be okay with this. Folks, this is a sign that we have lost some type of substance in our morality. Common people know that this is a substance for something bad in the future. It's not good for a surrounding environment. Who knows what happens? But when they say that some men should have multiple wives if you can afford them, but I'm telling you, I've seen too much in my life. I've seen it cause too many problems. A woman was burned to death for reporting sexual harassment. These things are still happening in nature and in life. A father gets 2 years in prison after abandoning his infant son in the woods. UK to introduce porn age checks in July. Planned Parenthood is trying to reshape its image, according to an article that was read. Scientists call teen girls killed over bad breakups a public health issue. These things are happening in society in real time. Texas woman arrested, charged with capital murder after baby found dead in a flower pot. These are signs that our minds are being altered, folks. Signs that we are not practicing cleanliness. Signs that we are not trying to better ourselves. Another Texas woman allegedly attacks her husband after getting silenced when she asked if she was pretty. This is bad. This is bad news, folks. And it doesn't do any good to the common people, the common thinker. A South Carolina father accused of letting his 1-year-old daughter burn to death while fleeing cops after a highway chase. If you cannot tell me that there's not something happening in the atmosphere of family and relationships, these are real deal stories, folks. And if there's a report on the other side, then they're not giving a good report what's happening on this planet. That could be the destruction of mankind. As the mediator, it is my supreme duty to try to inform you to get you back on the right track. Let's get to the top 2 stories that made it to the media this week. If you want to contribute in any way, METHOD8INC.com, methodinc.com. Story number 7. Party, drugs, guns, religion, and drunkenness. Has anything changed in the wild, wild west? Folks, the U.S. has been slipping in freedom rankings. The TSA found a handgun concealed in a DVD player in a passenger's check bag. Old artifacts may be discrediting Christianity. So you're starting to see things come to light. Truth. People are searching for the truth. So what they're doing, there was a story that surfaced in about a South Carolina church being vandalized with submit to God through Islam. Folks, I'm telling you, if you are religious, or you have to be well studied to understand these laws of life that we must live by. They're talking about 2 children having fun with a handgun, left 1 shot in the stomach. Death is not a good thing. In every religion, if they're not practicing peace, It's bad. I mean, you have to understand that we all have problems. You look at all of our lives, none of us are perfect, not one. We have to find something to lash on to, and people are finding the wrong things. 4-year-old accidentally shot himself in the head, and he's the fifth member in his family to have an altercation with guns. White supremacist gets life for running down black men. Pub has to apologize for controversial photos of Jesus Christ. Like I said, the artifacts of the past are catching up to us, putting an image on God's face. Christ, Yeshua, many names. They've been practicing understanding God's law since the beginning of time. And some people are saying that the face that has been through all of art, through all of history, is deceiving people. It is becoming a reality. Are we getting? Is this the reason why we are becoming the way we are? Let's get to the top story that made it to the beat this week. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. We're at the top story on this Resurrection Sunday. Story number 8. The truth may be coming into the light. And what hope do the people have looking for a home? Folks, in this story, this final story that made it in, if we can understand anything about humankind, empathy, understanding our fellow man, there are a lot of stories that are surfacing about other people mainly not having a home, not having a place to call home. And we're seeing it happening at the U.S. border, laws being put in place, Mexican cartel, secret graves in Mexico, many stories surfacing in about Trump talking about send them to sanctuary cities, and churches being burned. I mean, people being killed, 200 people, just all different types of stories. Immigrant being beat up, 2 men wearing MAGA hats. So we have to ask ourselves, where is this behavior coming from? People who are clearly seeking some type of refuge, trying to find some place to call home. And you ask yourself, where is the church in all this battle and all this mess? Why is not the government understanding that this is God's law, that there would always be poor people around? Why is the government not empowering the church? There is separation between church and state, but these are church matters. The churches have buildings. Churches people donate to churches. Churches have missionaries. You have to ask yourselves, why are all these human beings, our own kind, not having a place to call home? Why is there so much corruption in mankind? How does this drug trade? You look at the drug fields; they are highly protected. These drug fields are highly protected because they are making money. You look at how this nation was built, and they're talking about reparations, about how they were built off free labor. This is like saying a master abusing his slaves, folks. This is a reality, and we're looking at what's happening on a global scale. And even when these people don't have, I mean, they're migrating into other lands, and they're creating their own civilization, and then they're creating more war. Folks, this is a reality, and that's why story number 8 is very, very important, and you'll probably see it developing in these next few stages, is where will people who have no home go as we get closer and closer to who knows what. Some local stories that made it in. Ohio unemployment rate drops in March. Creditors seek foreclosure on flats at Wick Park. Sherrod Brown touts his proposed tax relief plan. U.S. to jail more migrants requesting asylum. Youngstown Council considers $500 fee to pick up garbage from major property cleanouts. Folks, we're hitting some very, very unbelievable territory when it comes to the filth that mankind has become. We're a better species than this, and it's Earth Day tomorrow, and they're talking about how much plastic. This is a bonus story about how much plastic is in the oceans, and you look at our waters and how we've polluted this is real stuff. You look at the data, something is happening. They're talking about even plastic being found in some of the mountains farther from the United States. Folks, we have become a very, very careless species, and I don't know how. I don't study a lot of environmental issues, but these stories are. I was like I said, I was reading and doing some research on the last administration, and they were talking about climate change and how this may be a real problem, and nobody and there's just such a big debate about it, but there are just things happening that we're doing, and it could be affecting us. And I hope you take heed on Earth Day tomorrow, and I hope you yourself have just understand, just stay in light, and try to be a little bit more informed of what's happening around you. Please do not be ignorant to what is actually happening in this life and in this generation. There are some things happening around us that are just taking the world by storm. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the meter this week. Like I said, I am out of here. I hope you have a good Easter. I'm out of here. Have a good week, everybody.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The mediators